Big weekend for the ruling party as the policy conference gets underway. Registration is taking place at the Turffontein Racecourse, and our senior reporter Siphamandla Goke is there. He joins me now to give us an update. Sipa, I wonder how it's going there. You know, we've seen registration delayed rather at provincial and regional level, during the elective conferences. But what's happening in terms of registration for the policy conference?
It's very smooth for now. Things are moving in very quickly. ANC members, leaders and delegates come here at Turffontein to register for their tags that will enable them to gain access to the National Policy Conference venue. You see a number of them coming here. Those are the delegates that are coming to register to collect their tags. We have spotted a number of leaders from various provinces. I've spotted the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Ncukai Tobi. I've also spotted Mr. Mtolo, the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. Our viewers would recall that those two provinces have got opposing views in terms of how the party should handle the issue of step-aside resolution. The KwaZulu-Natal or the ANC in KZN is pushing for the scrapping of step-aside. I see former Provincial Secretary of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Super Zuma, is also arriving. He was one of those delegates that pushed for the step-aside resolution of the ANC. The Eastern Cape is vehemently opposed to that, saying, well, it cannot be that step-aside is scrapped because that is designed to restore the image and the credibility of the ANC that is seen as losing the trust of members of the public because some of its leaders and members are accused of corruption, and the resolution is clear that those who are criminally charged must step aside. Not only that, but they must no longer contest for leadership positions, be it at a branch level, regional level, and provincial and national level. So that issue of step aside is likely going to dominate the National Policy Conference of the ANC, which ordinarily should serve as the biggest gathering of the party, if you bear in mind that the delegates need to discuss serious policy issues, be it issues of the economy, health, education, social transformation, peace and stability, issues of energy. The country is, being affected by crippling load shedding. Those are the issues that the party needs to discuss. But it seems as if this gathering will be dominated by organizational issues that have got to do with the renewal and unity project of the ANC, as well as step-aside resolution of the ANC. I'm trying to check which members are coming down those stairs after registering here. So after registering, delegates will come down those stairs and then they will go to the conference venue. But today nothing much will happen because conference only kicks off tomorrow morning. So after registering, it's either they can go back to their accommodation or they can go and have caucuses where they discuss their proposals that they are bringing to this policy conference.
And I think, Sipa, I don't know, what I would find interesting is that when you read through all their policy conferences from the 53rd National Conference back in 2012, you realize that the ANC said it's going through a decade of renewal from 2012. That lapses this year. It's 10 years this year, and they're still talking about renewal and unity, and it doesn't seem to be filtering through.
It will not filter through because every time the ANC talks about that, the ANC says the ANC will, the ANC must, the ANC shall. But you ask yourself, for a decade, remember they came up with a decade of the cadre whereby they wanted to polish the quality of their members and cadres. And now they have talked about this renewal thing since 2012. And even before that, by the way, they have always been talking about that. It's just that after 2012 and the 2017 Nasrec conference was very clear in its mandate and the resolution that was given, as my colleague Tami will try and stay with the visuals coming from this side where we see more delegates coming in, some of them of course having registered leaving. So but the ANC has been grappling with this issue of renewal, unity for a very long time, and they've been unable to get it right. And the main reason the 2017 Nasrec conference was very clear on the mandate of the newly elected National Executive Committee was to say they need to prioritize the issue of renewal and unity project within the ANC. Addressing ANC delegates in the Free State in Bloemfontein, former ANC President Thabo Mbeki said the entire National Executive Committee of the ANC had failed in ensuring that the renewal and unity project of the ANC kicks off, and he said the branch delegates and members of the ANC would need to think hard about how to renew the party. So leading to the upcoming National Congress in December in Nasrec, that issue of renewal and unity project will come back, because the leadership that was elected in 2017 would need to account and report back to the conference as to the implementation of those resolutions. If you look at the ANC now in terms of unity, it's fractured, be it within the officials of the ANC, within the National Executive Committee of the party, and just ordinary members of the ANC. It's a deeply divided organization that is struggling with renewal project and unity. But most importantly, it will be said if this National Policy Conference is dominated by issues that are a sideshow, because honestly speaking, the ANC is the governing party in South Africa. They need to transform and change the lives of South Africans. That's what they have been promising since 1994. You are living in a country that is plagued by violent crime. It's like a war zone, living in a country that is plagued by high unemployment rate, inequality, poverty. This is not the kind of society the ANC said they wanted to have when they said they were ready to govern, and they've been misgoverning in some instances, and those are the things that they must talk about at this National Policy Conference. Socio-economic challenges. Right now the cost of living in South Africa is high. What will be the solutions?
And I think that's quite important, Siphamandla. During the 2017 policy conference, we saw the former finance minister at the time, Malusi Gigaba, having spoken about policies that the ANC is implementing to, grow the economy, etc. Should we be expecting the same thing in terms of Godongwane possibly saying what the ANC plans to woo investors into the country?
Of course, there's no doubt about it. The biggest challenge for this National Policy Conference will be the issue of economic transformation, and that Commission on Economic Transformation will have to deal with the issue of economic growth. For a number of years now, South Africa has been experiencing sluggish economic growth, which has led to this huge unemployment rate, because if you are unable to grow the economy, you will not be able to solve some of the socio-economic challenges that the country is facing. You've got about 17 million people dependent on social grants. The tax base is shrinking. The economy is not growing. At some point, the fiscus will collapse. It will not be able to cope with this pressure. And you've got high expenditure in terms of education, health, and other social needs that South Africans require. So the issue of economic growth will have to feature strongly at this policy conference. But remember, successive economic policies of the ANC since 1994 have failed to deal decisively with the issue of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. The question is why over a number of years they've been unable, or ANC economic policies have been unable to transform the lives of the people. Even during their two-thirds majority in parliament under former President Thabo Mbeki, when the global economy was doing relatively well, South African economy was performing relatively well compared to what it is now before the global recession in 2008. That economic growth was unable to translate into positive gains on the ground. The gap between the rich and the poor was widening, inequality was widening, unemployment was widening, poverty was widening. So the question is, what are they going to do differently this time around that they've been unable to do, as we see more and more delegates arriving here to register? So yes, the issue of the economy, energy, security, and others will have to feature strongly at this National Policy Conference. But not only that, and I guess they will have to come up with concrete resolutions that will be affirmed by the National Conference in December. Because remember, after discussing these proposals here, they need to take them to the National Conference, which will affirm them and resolve on them and adopt them.
All right, that was ENCA senior reporter Siphamandla Gokwe.